Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of my podcast. Today it's another English episode, so I'll try my best again to be as good in English as I am in French. And today I'm very happy to be talking with a national champion, two-time national champion, a world junior champion, a Grand Prix medalist. He's a figure skater and a very good person too. So it's Nguyen. Hi, Nam.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
It's a pleasure for me. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. So first of all, how are you doing with the COVID and this situation? It's been quite crazy the last few months. How have you
Yeah,
been handling it?
right. Yeah, I mean, like as you know, with everybody else around the world, we're kind of stuck at home, and some days it's been a little bit difficult, and then there's some days where it's not too bad. For me, I've kind of just been trying to stay busy and staying active every day. Kind of just to stay prepared for my first day back. And fortunately enough for me, I was able to start skating this week, and it was definitely a weird feeling to be back on the ice after a really long time of being off of it, but nonetheless it was still a great experience. So I'm kind of glad that I'm starting to kind of get back into a normal lifestyle, but obviously still with some restrictions in place.
Absolutely. And also you were selected to participate at the World Championships in Montreal. How did you deal with that situation and the fact that it was canceled so close to the championships?
Right. It was definitely difficult to process. I mean, I was training really well going into that event. I felt like I was in the best shape of my life, actually. And so, I didn't really think too much about the coronavirus back then. It wasn't even until like 2 days before the cancellation where I thought that it was getting serious. And so I was a little bit, anxious with the announcement. And then when it came, it was definitely heartbreaking. Because I know all of us that we're going to go to Worlds. We put in a lot of work, to be our best, and definitely for us Canadian skaters to be performing in front of our home crowd, it would have been a special feeling.
Yeah.
But as you know, I mean, the health and safety for everybody is a priority. So that's another way to look at it, I guess.
And what kind of support did you get to get through those time? I mean, of course, there's a difficult situation, and I probably Skate Canada and your coaches and your team around you help you go through that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, for like the first 2 weeks after the announcement, I kind of did my own thing. I needed some time to myself, really, just to, first of all, to recover from such a big announcement. And also, it was a very long season for me. I started in August, and then I was going up until March. And so I really needed a break from skating. So for 2 weeks, I really didn't, I didn't think about skating at all. And then, since then until now, we've kind of been following a plan and establishing a new routine, really. And so, with the help of Skate Canada and my coaches, it's kind of been productive with what we've been doing right now, and kind of just using that as a stepping stone for the future.
Absolutely. I'd like to take a look back at your career, because you've had a very great career so far, and it's still going great. So when you were younger, you won every national, every category, so juvenile, pre-novice, novice, junior, and senior. And every time you were setting a record of age. How did you manage to deal with the pressure of big events like that when you were so young and moving category every year like that?
Right. Back then, I didn't really feel any kinds of pressure whatsoever. Just because, I was so young and I didn't really understand the concept of how big nationals were. And so really the way I approached these events was kind of just, it was just another event for me. And I wanted to have fun and really just meet new people. And I think that's kind of the mentality with a lot of young skaters is they're kind of more into the fact that they're going to another event and they're just trying to do their job. And so that was the case for me. And in terms of, moving up to a higher level every year, I always thought it was a very exciting opportunity to kind of just compete against the big boys. And then I didn't really start, I started to notice like the pressure, like when I was like in my teen, like when I was a teenager, just because I started to understand like the impact of certain events, you know, throughout the year. But back then it was it was definitely easier for me to go to nationals and kind of just do my job.
Absolutely. And at one point, did you like face a wall or something? Like, did something like, is there a specific moment, you know, that you like, okay, you realize that it's bigger than what you think at first, in first
Right.
place?
Yeah. So I think it was back in 2010 where I got invited to do the exhibition at the Olympic Games in
Yeah.
Vancouver. And for me, that was such an exciting experience. I mean, I was like around all the superstars of the sport, and to really just, you know, be there and be part of the Olympic movement, it was kind of inspiring. And at that time, I kind of like, you know, realized that this is something that I want to be part of, and it's going to be a goal of mine to, you know, represent Canada at the Olympic Games. Unfortunately, I haven't done that yet, but I'm hoping in 2022 it'll happen. But I think that was like my turning point where I realized that, you know, figure skating can be like a thing that will be with me for a while. And so that's when I decided to dedicate everything to make sure that I achieve all of my goals that I've set.
And you said like you realized what has to be changed. And what were the major changes you made in the, not just like your mentality, but in your preparation or in your training? Did you change something after that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. First of all, the biggest thing is the sacrifice. You know, if you want to like, you know, make it in this sport or any other sport really, you got to sacrifice a lot of, you know, your social life. You know, you have to invest a lot of your energy and your focus into what you want to do, right? And I think for me at the time it was kind of, you know, I had to take off time from school to give myself more training time on the ice. And, you know, as you said, it's not just about the mentality that had to change. It was also the physical stuff. Like I needed to, you know, warm up more and kind of just, you know, do a lot more off the ice to make sure that I was ready to do to do more work on the ice. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that approach still translates into my, you know, life today.
It's more like a big structure than just training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like back then, you know, like I viewed it as recreational like a long time ago, and so like skating was a small part of my life, and you know, I didn't really have to like commit to anything. And fortunately for me, I was lucky that things came my way really easily. But then like after the Olympics in 2010, that's when I kind of like viewed it as a really big part of my life. And so whatever I did outside of skating, it was to kind of, you know, benefit for what I wanted to do on the ice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, you talked that you were a bit like searching, you were questioning yourself also, and you made some changes. You changed coach, and finally now you are with Rob Burke. He's your coach, and I think you have a great chemistry together, and you do a great teamwork. What was the research going? Like, what were you looking for when you went to Rob?
Right. Yeah. So for me in my career, I've had the lucky opportunity to work with a lot of coaches, and there's pros and cons to it. You know, I mean, first of all, I get to work with a lot of experienced individuals that have been in the sport for so long, and that really has helped me broaden my perspective of the sport. And then one of the cons is, you know, going through change is so exhausting mentally, and you got to learn how to adapt with every coach that you work with. And so at this point for me, when I was looking for a new coach, I wanted somebody to be there for me mentally and emotionally, not so much technically, because I've already, you know, skated for a number of years now, and I kind of understand how technique works. And so at this point, I need somebody to, like, you know, be there for me. I think, like, you know, when you get to, you know, this point in your career, the training becomes a lot harder emotionally. You don't want to come into the rink because you're feeling tired. You're not feeling right. And so this is where Robert's really good at, helping me rein my focus in and trying to get me motivated. And so, he fit the criteria, and, since then we've been doing some good work. And in the future, it's kind of like, we're kind of just wanting to do the same thing. It's like, we're not really trying to change much. He obviously is a great technician also. And there's been days when I really need technical help, but as a whole, I think for me as a skater, I need somebody there to support me mentally.
I think he helped you not just on the skating aspect, but also on your personal aspect. Like you need someone by your side just to get through the
exactly.
days.
You're absolutely right. He's kind of like a second dad to me. He's, supported me through some of the personal life issues that I've gone through in the past few years. But that's like an example of how great he is to me. Obviously he doesn't have a lot of great skaters like Brian Orser or whatever, but I think at the end of the day what really matters is who's going to stand with you by your side no matter what. And Robert is the perfect guy.
It's like you don't need the big environment anymore. You just need someone personal you can get a connection with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you reached for him, did you know it was going to be like that? Like, did you feel that already at the first time you met him?
It was funny because I already had a taste of who he is as a coach and as a person back in 2016, 2017. And at that time, I actually had moved to California. I left the cricket and went to go train in California. And so there were times when I had to come back to Toronto for school or whatever. And so I would train where Robert coaches at. And he would help me, give me bits and pieces of advice for whatever. And there was just a vibe about him that I really appreciate. He was so, committed to helping me, even though like he wasn't my coach back then. But unfortunately I couldn't really move to him because I just moved to California. Right. So, fast forward a few years and that's when I decided, Robert's like a great guy to work with. And so, I haven't looked back since, and I'm really, really happy with the decision that, my team made with him.
Absolutely. And now I'd like to know, because you're now coaching too. So you see the two sides of the sports. You've been coached as a skater and you coach other kids too. So what did you realize being a coach yourself?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Did you realize some stuff that you did not experience before, and like it make you realize like, oh, there's the stuff I didn't know. There's the stuff I didn't know. Another perspective of the sport.
Right. Yeah. I think, I've been coaching for, I think, almost 2 years now. And so I first of all, I really enjoy coaching because the first thing that comes to mind when I coach is that I've already been in the sport for a number of years now. And so I've garnered enough experience, and I really want to share that with, the younger generations coming up, because as we all know, this sport is progressing really fast at this rate. And so for me to see and go through all of, what I've experienced and just sharing that with the younger kids is a great feeling. And then now to answer your question, what I think from, my self-coaching has benefited my own skating is patience. Obviously, you have to give so much credit to all the coaches around the world because they have to deal with us, and we can be frustrating at times, right? And they're there with us till the end of the day, being patient, trying to figure out a way to help us, achieve the goals that we want. And so in that regard, I think I'm able to be a little bit more forgiving with myself. If I'm having a rough day, I used to kind of just blow the rest of the day off and not be productive. But now it's kind of like, if I have a bad day, it's totally fine. I have the next session or the next day and, another chance to be a better version of myself. And so that's kind of the concept that I've applied from my coaching to my own skating. And I found it's been really beneficial. And that's really kind of like so far the only thing that I've picked up on, right? If I compare my, coaching career to like a veteran coach, like that person obviously has a lot more experience as a coach, right? And so I think like in the foreseeable future, I want to be a figure skating coach, but I think right now it's kind of like, prioritizing training, and for me, coaching is to kind of, financially support myself. But yeah, no, I love coaching. It's taught me a lot about myself, and at the same time, I'm also giving back to the community.
Absolutely. And you said it, skating is such a expensive sport. It's great that we can make money out of something we love, and
Yeah.
and giving to people. So did you feel that way going into coaching? Was it the first purpose, like at the beginning?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, first and foremost, back then, like 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, when I decided to, be responsible for everything in my life now. So obviously my parents used to pay for my skating and pretty much my entire life, but now I've kind of taken on that myself. I needed to, a source of income, and being on the national team, it definitely helps a lot with the funding and all that to a certain extent. It doesn't cover everything for, skating. And as you said, skating is so expensive. And so I needed to find another way to create money. And, coaching was the first thing. I'm able to, make some money off of, of what I love to do, which is great. And then, this past season, I've been able to, win some prize money and get some money from doing shows. And for me, that's kind of been, a motivation. I got to put the work in, and then in return, I'll be able to financially support myself.
Absolutely.
But it's I mean, at first it was kind of like money driven when I started coaching, but now it's kind of it's all about the kids. The kids development is extremely important, and I'm trying my best to be there for them and help them become a better skater. But yeah, back then it was more to support myself financially, because I was really broke. And I mean, I'm still broke, but
well, so it makes you realize like the value of skating and how it's like a privilege, and it makes you realize
100%.
like I like doing that, and I'm so happy to be able to do that, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, skating, for sure, as you said, is a privilege, and it's definitely an honor. And not a lot of people get to have that luxury, right? So when I started to, pay for the bills and all that, my perspective of the sport changed completely, and it really has changed my approach to how I train, and how I approach the sport in general, because I used to take it for granted because my parents were paying for it and all that. And I didn't really have a concept of, how expensive it was until I decided to take it on my own. But yeah, I definitely appreciate every little thing the sport has to offer.
Absolutely. And you talk about giving back to the community, and of course you coach, but you also like give seminars. You're a part of Skate Global also with Elage.
Yeah.
How was it to be a part of that and to give back, but I think it's on a bigger level, like
Right.
it's like everyone can access that, and it's
Yeah.
people from everywhere come to see you, and all the other people that works with K Global. But I think it's something very special that everybody created together with that seminar.
Right. Yeah. So, Elijah's camp, Skate Global, is, really inspiring on so many fronts. And I think, when we did his seminar last year in Montreal, what I saw with my own eyes kind of like was life-changing. It was, I think, a 3 or 4 day camp, and the kids went through like the biggest change of their lives. And that was really inspiring to see. Like the first day, nobody was talking to each other. It was kind of awkward. Everybody was was really uncomfortable, basically.
Yeah.
And so, the faculty really, we tried to, make the environment, we tried to make the environment very comfortable for everybody. And so Elijah and Michelle, his girlfriend, did such a great job, for the entire week. And by the end of it, everybody was, vibing with each other. We were laughing. We were, experiencing all kinds of emotion, and the camaraderie really developed in such a short period of time. And for me, when I saw that, I was just like in awe of what, the faculty was able to do. We had Patrick there, we had Caitlin, Dylan, we had so many great skaters, and I was really lucky to be a part of it, to kind of just witness everything. But it was definitely inspiring, and I'm so proud of what Elijah and his team have done to really, you know, encourage the art of performance nationwide, and I can't wait to see what he does next with his camp.
Yeah, and you're right. It's very inspiring to see all that. And you said it yourself. It's you create like a friendship and like a team
Yeah,
and it's a sport that we're alone, and it's
right.
an individual sport. So, is it really important to you? Like, I know you have so many friends on the tour. You have so many friends in the skating community. Why is it so important for you to have all these people around you and to keep those friendships like very close to you?
Right. Yeah. So, you know, as you said, skating is such a lonely sport, right? At the end of the day, ultimately, we're out on the ice by ourselves, and we have to face the crowd and do our job. Whereas, you know, like, let's say hockey or football, you know, you got a lot of the guys around you on the ice at the same time, and really they're providing support. But for us figure skaters, it gets pretty lonely. And so I think the concept of friendship is so important. And, you know, we're on the national team, we're all a family pretty much. We unfortunately don't get to see each other as often as we would like to throughout the year. But, you know, we have events that we share with, you know, the team members, and, you know, during the week, we try to share as many, you know, special moments as possible. And really, I think that kind of, you know, helps us get into the positive frame of mind. And that's what we need to compete with, right? Like, if we're all depressed and all that when we compete, we're not going to be able to do well. And so, for example, I mean, if you look at my friendship with Keegan Messing,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a clear example of how, you know, how good friendships go, and we're really brothers at this point. You know, we support each other no matter what, and even during training season, we'll call each other at least once a day to just check in on each other. And I think that's really special, and that's not really something you see very often around the world. And so I'm very lucky to have this friendship with Keegan, and that goes the same for the rest of the national team. We're all like families with each other, and it's really special.
And it's like bigger than the sports, because at the end of the day, there's a point, yeah, your career ends and you cannot
Yeah,
win medals for the rest of your life. And but
exactly.
those friendships, they will last forever, and
Yeah.
those relations you create with everyone, it's worth, I think, a lot, as the same value as a medal or
Yeah. No,
a
I mean,
competition.
yeah, friendships last a lifetime. And unfortunately, you know, figure skating, like your competitive career, everybody's competitive career is very short. You know, as many people say, figure skating is a young sport. People retire at, like, you know, from the ages of like 20 to like 27. And that's really young. But, you know, friendships that you make along the way throughout your career is definitely going to last a lifetime. And that's what's really unique about the sport, is that, you know, you go to a competition internationally and you meet these people that you've never met before. And it's kind of like you've been their friend for their entire lives, and it's going to stay like that, you know, once you're done competing. And that's really special.
Absolutely. I would like to talk about two moments in particular in your career. So there's two moments I enjoy a lot. It's your second national title in St. John in 2019. So I think there was so many crazy stories with this title. You went on a journey a lot with just from the trip to the competition to. I'd like for you to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So this was obviously, as you said, 2019, and this was my first year, you know, being responsible for the sport, like, you know, paying for everything and kind of just, you know, not relying on my parents' help anymore. And so that itself was such a task. I mean, it was a constant struggle. There's so many bills to pay, and all that. But by the time nationals came around, I was in a point in my life where I was really just calm. And at first I did not expect to win. I kind of just wanted to go in there and do my job. Obviously the hype was on Keegan Messing because he had such a great year. And, you know, the year before he went to the Olympics and all that. And so really the pressure was not really on for me. And so I kind of just went in there and wanted to keep things simple. Unfortunately, it was kind of the opposite. I got into Halifax, I think. And My connecting flight was from Halifax to St. John, obviously, and it was canceled because there was a snowstorm in St. John, but my coach told me that there was no snowstorm. And so I had to rebook my flight, which was scheduled for the next morning. But if I had taken that, I would have missed my first practice, and that's not really something I want to miss. So I was really lucky to have one of like the Skate Canada members there that was on my same flight. She spotted me out and was like, I recognize you. Do you want to rent a car tonight and drive? And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. And so as my luck continued, there were fans that, overheard our conversations and was like, can we join? And it was like, absolutely, let's go. Let's have a road trip, And so we rented the car, and there was 5 of us in a very small car. It was very intimate, as you could imagine. But
with strangers,
complete strangers, and all that, and it was fun. But things started to turn for the worse when I think first of all, I didn't know how long the drive was going to take. I thought it would be like maybe an hour or two. Like this is how bad my geography is. Like I had no concept of like how long this trip was going to be. And so I read on the GPS, I thought it had said 30 minutes remaining. It turned out to say 3 hours remaining. I forgot to read the other 0 and all that stuff. And so I was stressing at this point, and I was just like really anxious because I wanted to get there and all that. And then an hour in, we hit a really heavy snowstorm. It was like you could not see like maybe 2 inches out of the window. The snow was thick. It was coming down really hard, and so we had to pull up into a gas station, and the gas station attendant was like, "Yeah, this storm isn't gonna go away for another 4 hours." And so I was just I was done with everything. I was like calling my parents, and I was like freaking out. I was like, they're saying that the storm's not going to go away for 4 hours. Lucky enough, this person was wrong. It only lasted like 20 minutes. So we're back on the road, and then for the rest of the trip, it was fine. Like it was comfortable. Actually, not really comfortable because like we were all very, tight. We were crammed in there like sardines. But we shared a lot of great stories, and they're great people. And I got there safe late at night, had my dinner, slept, and kind of just started nationals really. But yeah, the start of it was definitely interesting. And I'm so lucky and grateful to have met all of these wonderful people to share the ride with, because if I didn't, I would have been stuck at that airport for the entire night and just not knowing what was going on.
And then we know the rest of the story later. That week you won nationals for the second time, so
yeah,
that's quite crazy.
It was a special feeling. And a lot of people asked me like which I preferred, the first year I won or the second year, and I would say the second year, because like the second year I feel like it was all done from my heart. I'm not saying like I don't skate from my heart, but because I was taking everything on my own, it was an extra special feeling. And obviously with the help of my coaches and my team, it was just really an incredible moment when I found out I won.
And also, you said it, when you're younger, you don't realize everything also. So now you were more conscious of like everything around you, and especially with the situation you've been through before.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like winning nationals is a really big deal. And I cannot believe like back then I didn't understand how big the concept was. And so, any medal that I take now, I'm so grateful. It doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't even matter if like I don't finish on the podium, as long as I have a good skate that I can be happy with. Like I'm just so grateful for that.
Absolutely. And after that win, did you see those people in the car with you?
I didn't, no, because I was still like, it was just so busy, when you have such a good skate, all of your friends, come to congratulate you. And so it was kind of like, it was, fun, but like, I really wish I could have seen these people. And I don't think I haven't seen them since then. But you know what, like, if I do, like, I got to make sure I give them all of my thanks, because my victory started off with them pretty much.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that they will remember those nationals for a long time too.
100%, yeah.
And the second moment I want to talk about is this year Grand Prix of Skate Canada.
Hmm.
in 2019. You won a silver medal, and it was a crazy competition, I might say. You skated just after Yuzu and you, and he skated like a incredible performance, like almost a world record performance, I think. And you had to skate after that in front of the home crowd, and
Yeah.
you did skate very well and won a silver medal. So explain a little bit the competition. What was your feeling going through this event? And
Right. Yeah. So that week, I mean, it was a dream event for me, really, because everything was just, it felt so easy. I was really prepared for this event, and the fact that it was in BC really just gave me more energy. I love the West Coast. The West Coast is really beautiful, and I grew up there, right? So
yeah,
it kind of just gives me that, good energy, good vibes, and so it really just started out my week awesome. And then as the week went by, I kind of just stuck to the plan, really just kept things simple. All of my practices went well. And I was just feeling confident in both programs. Um, that moment, though, before my free program, when, I was standing in the back and waiting for Yuzu to finish, and he had done like a really great skate, and all of the fans were on their feet. At that moment, I could feel the adrenaline. I felt the vibrations from the arena running through my chest. Like, how you're at a or at a concert in general, and like the music is just pumping and you can feel it run through your body. That's what I was feeling.
yeah,
And I was like, I've never felt this kind of energy before. And so I like, this is how Yuzu feels at every event,
yeah,
like, cause he's got that crazy fan base, like, and a crazy amount. And so I got a taste of it and I loved it. Like, if I get a taste of whatever these famous people get, I'm going to hold on to that and use it to my own advantage. And so that was my approach for my free program. And obviously it would have been disappointing if I had just kind of like tapered off and kind of cut that energy. But that was my biggest concern. I really wanted to capitalize on that energy that the crowd was giving him and then to me. And so when I skated well, it was such a special feeling. I really milked every second of the choreography. I remember every of the faces that I looked at during my program, kind of just, communicating with the audience and sharing the energy and really bringing that performance. And that was something that, I look back to every so often if I need to feel motivated, if I'm feeling down in the current days. But yeah, no, Skate Canada was such a special event for me.
absolutely. And after this event, did it give you like momentum for the rest of the season? Like, do you feel it giving you a new energy going towards 2022?
It does. I mean, like, obviously now it kind of, like, this whole coronavirus quarantine thing has
Yeah,
kind of detrimented that energy a lot. But back then, like, the momentum was going strong for me. Unfortunately, going into nationals, I had a lot of skate issues. I was skating in one skate was like my old skate, and then my other skate was a brand new skate. It was like not even like 2 days old, and so that kind of played a lot. But I think in general, when I look back on this season, I would say that it was a good season. It started out okay, and then I peaked at Skate Canada, and then Cup of Russia was not too bad, and then like after that, it was kind of like messy with all my skate issues. But then we rebounded for four continents because I really wanted to make the world team, and I'm so glad that we had another chance to redeem ourselves. And then I got the spot for Worlds, which was so exciting because I've always wanted to perform at a World Championships in front of the home crowd. And so now we're in Corona, and it's kind of just been really difficult to deal with. And yeah, I'm a little, and right now we're a little bit confused with what's going to happen with the season. But I think in general I should be able to kind of get myself back into shape for 2022.
absolutely. And also, you said that you had like a peak moment there, and it's some it's like you make a statement and that
Yeah,
you're able to compete, not just compete, but like deal with extreme pressure in front of
right.
the home crowd. So, because it would have been quite similar in Montreal
Yeah,
if it would have happened, because if SK Canada was in BC, as you said it. Um, so I think it was quite a special moment for you.
of course. Yeah, I mean, honestly, here's the thing. Like, I dreamt of moments like this, like Ski Canada in specific. Um, But the funny thing is, when I went into that event, I did not expect to like medal, because the field was already good enough. I kind of expected maybe like a top 5 finish, like 4th or 5th. I would have been happy. But then when I found myself 3rd place after that short, I was like, this could be it. Like this is like something that I've dreamt of for a while. And so I couldn't let that get to my head, because if I did, I would have like gotten super cocky and I would have just let up my fight. And so I kind of just, really like played it dumb in my brain. I was like, I wanted to just deal with whatever's in front of me, take it, second by second, minute by minute. And then, my program comes around, and then when I was in the kiss and cry and it showed that I was in 2nd place, I was just like, this is everything that I dreamt of for an event. Like I skate last, I skated after a superstar, and I got the home crowd on its feet, and I medaled at a Grand Prix. And I've only medaled twice at a Grand Prix, but I'll still take it. And that was such a special feeling for me. And, I wanted to keep that same energy for Worlds, if not even more, because Worlds is a bigger stage, obviously, yeah. Right? And so I wanted to be even better. And so, unfortunately it got canceled, and I'm hoping to, find another time to just,
I'm sure you'll get other opportunities to get some special moments, yeah, like that.
I hope so too.
We'll go through some quick questions. So it's very like easy questions, just to know a little bit more about you. So what is the meal you eat before a competition?
It depends. I mean, sometimes it'll be junk food, or just whatever the hotel has to offer. I order a lot of room service whenever I'm at a hotel, just because I like to try their foods and whatnot. But yeah, no, it kind of just depends on whatever is available.
Absolutely. And after a competition, what's the treat you like to get?
If it's available, I always go for Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue is something that I love very much. But if it's not available, then whatever, like the closest junk food restaurant there is to the hotel.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
What song do you listen before getting on the ice for a competition or practice? Or
I listen to a lot of Travis Scott, rapper. His music's really hype, and so that kind of gets me focused and in a state of mind where I feel pumped up, and that's kind of what I need before either a practice session or an event.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have any superstition or habits before getting on the ice?
I wouldn't say I have any superstitions, but I chew a lot of gum during like the weekend of an event. Skate Canada, I remember I like went through 5 packs during the week. I needed to chew a lot of gum because for some reason, like, I feel like it helps me focus. My 5th grade teacher told me that, if you chew mint gum, it's going to help you like remember stuff. And so I kind of changed the end goal and said, it's going to help me focus. And so that's kind of my vibe at Skate Canada. And since then I've been chewing a lot of gum since.
That's perfect. What's the favorite place you visited for a competition or you went to for a competition?
Japan. Yeah, Japan is such a great city, or great country. Sorry, great country. The fans there are so supportive and knowledgeable, and really the organizing committee makes sure that every skater feels like they're at home. And that's just something that I love about competing there, is that they make your job a little bit easier by catering to whatever you need, and it's awesome. And Japan, as I said already, it's a great country.
Yeah. And finally, who was your idol when you were younger?
Kurt Browning. Kurt Browning is such an icon. I have so many people that I look up to, but the biggest one is Kurt Browning. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to work with him for my last 2 free programs. And he's such a genius, I would say. He's very quick on his feet, and his ability to, get the audience, and his performance is quick. And that's something that I want to do myself. And so last year I was able to, be on the Stars and Ice tour with him, and I learned so many things from him. It's unreal. Like, I wish I could like apply at least 10% of what he can do to my own skating. But yeah, no, Kurt is such a showman, and I love it.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, he's your idol, and you work with him. And how do you get to your idol to ask, like, hey, can you work with me for my free program?
Right. You know, it's honestly okay. When you get to where, you know, where I am, or where, you know, any other skater at my level is, you make friends, right? You make friends with all of these, you know, idols that you look up to. And that's something that I never expected. I literally thought, like, I would look up to them, and that was that. Like, you know, there's a certain distance that we keep with the people that we look up to, but you realize that, yes, they've accomplished so many great things, and they're such great individuals, but at the end of the day, they're like regular human beings like you. And so that's kind of what helped me, you know, got over that barrier for a while. And so I was able to ask him, I was like, yo, do you want to help me with my free program? And he said, yeah. It was very simple. But yeah, no, I was very shocked to find out that you can be friends with a lot of these people when you have the chance to really know them on a personal level.
Yeah, it's like we don't realize that they are just humans. Like, and
Yeah.
even if we look at them and they're so great and they did so many incredible things, at the end of the day, they're just like us.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you treat somebody the way you want to be treated, I think that's like the same concept with that, right? Like, and I understand, like, you know, if you're a fan and you fanboy over somebody that you love, and you see them in person, like, I understand that. Like, I've been in that position myself. But if you get to know them on a personal level, it's like they're chill, like, you know, they're down to earth, and they're great people to hang out with, and you can really just have a normal conversation with them. And that's something that I've discovered with all of the idols that I look up to, and I still look up to them. But I'm really lucky to be friends with them, and then that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great. For the last segment of the podcast, we'll go a bit a look back. So we'll
Okay.
take a little look back. I want to know if there's someone in your career that has a major impact on your career. So that person helped you a lot, but that person is not necessarily like on the front page. Like, we don't know that person helped you go through difficult moments or good moments also. And that person, I mean, it may change the person you are to a better person, but we have no idea that person helped you.
I would say my parents, like, hands down, no questions. My parents, they've been with me from the start of my career up until now. And especially in the early stages of my career, they've really invested all of their time and their energy and their money to, you know, to make me the skater that I am today. And they've really stuck with me through all of the coaching changes that I've went through. And really, I couldn't ask for more. They've, you know, my dad especially, he wakes up really early to, you know, study the sport and to, you know, apply, you know, whatever he learned to my own skating. And that's kind of where I pretty much learned, you know, it's like, to a certain extent, that's where my basics are from. It's just learning from what we see online, and obviously from my early coaches too. But yeah, no, I think my parents have been there with me, and they've always been in the back. They never want to be, you know, out on the front pages or whatever. They've really just, you know, put their heads down and supported me to their best. And that's something, when I look back on my career, I appreciate everything that they've done for me. They've stuck with me from beginning to end. And, you know, they're just, they're awesome people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And final question, if you could see yourself 5 years ago, so if we go back and it's 2015, so what advice would you give yourself, your younger self?
Yeah. So 2015 was actually a very good year for me. My downfall from that year was that I got cocky. I got really, like, invested into the achievements that I put in. I medaled at my first Grand Prix, Skate America. I was the alternate for Grand Prix final. I won my first senior nationals, and I was 5th in the world. And that for me was a great year. However, that got to my head, and I got soft. I wasn't working hard anymore. And so when I look back at it, and I want to talk to that 15-year-old kid, first of all, I want to beat him up for being stupid. But my advice would be, you know what? Doesn't matter how many achievements you make. What's important is that you keep your head down, be humble, and get the work done. And that's something that I wish, I would have done, because it probably would have changed, the few years after that have been very rough for me. It was such a huge recovery that I had to make. I went from the highest of highs in my career to the lowest of lows. Like the year after, I didn't even make it past the short program of the World Championships in Boston. And so, yeah, if I look back at it, my advice would be to, yes, appreciate what you've done, but it's not over. Keep doing the work and continue improving yourself.
It's as we said earlier, it's don't take for granted.
Yeah. I took all of that for granted. I mean, yes, I put in the work, before the events, and I got the results that I, wanted. But it was the after part that messed me up. It was just like I was hanging on to the past too much and not really, focusing on what I needed to do to further improve myself as a skater. Yeah.
That's a great lesson, and I think you recover for that because you have amazing results the last few years.
Yeah, we're trying.
And if we could do the opposite, if you could see yourself in 5 years, so in 2025, what would you say to yourself, like something to remember, or is just an advice or something?
I think by the time we get to 2025, I'm not going to be skating anymore, like competitively. I hope to be doing shows and all that, and kind of, just giving back to the community, I guess. And, if I had to say something to that person, then I would be like, appreciate what you have done. I mean, obviously I'm not like Yuzuru Hani or Nathan Chen making a huge impact in the sport. I may not even win the Olympics or medal, whatever. But I would just say appreciate everything, because it's been quite a career, quite a journey. You went through so many ups and downs, and kind of just, be thankful that you were able to, figure skate, because not a lot of people around the world get that luxury too. So, I just kind of like, that's my theme. It's just to be grateful no matter what, whatever I make.
That's a really great advice, I think. And I really wish you to have a great season and a great end of career. I mean, because you said it, in 5 years, probably you cannot skate competitively anymore. But I mean, I wish the rest of your journey to be as exciting as is it right now. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And thank you for your generosity and your answers. So.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun talking to you.
Well, the pleasure was for me. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.